Nothing worked again? It's fine. Try again. Or how about this new tactic? I'm sure my grade is going to improve, but your grade stays the same. Okay, this time, with this real new tactic, I'm sure I'm going to improve. Oh no, your grade even became worse now. Nothing you do is working. How are you going to make this work? It's been 3 months of studying, but you see no improvement in your grades. You're pissed off, aren't you? What is the problem? You probably hate studying because every time you sit down to study, it takes a lot of effort, like most of us. And you put in the effort, it's kind of annoying to do it every day. And when it comes to the exam, you worried whether you even did enough of it. And the results don't show. You think that putting in more effort is the answer. And that if that was really the answer, then that would mean that excuse me. That would mean that you have to put in even more effort and it will be even more annoying. It's annoying because you put in the effort but you don't see the results that you want. That's the most frustrating part of it, isn't it? That is why I feel that a lot of people they're not really lazy. It's just that they are frustrated. And this will discourage them from studying. This is why a lot of people hate studying. It's not because they are inherently lazy. It's just because every time they do it, they don't see the results that they want. That is why so many people get angry and frustrated. And if you neglect studying after that because of this negative feedback loop, that would cause even more problems because now you've not been studying for a while. Because it's very hard to maintain something that you hate. Whereas if you enjoyed studying more by being able to see the results of your effort, I don't think you would stop if you knew that this is something that was effective in improving your grades. You're using the wrong study methods. And that is the reason why you keep that's the reason why you keep having the results that you do not want. And this is why a lot of people, including maybe yourself, hate studying. On the other hand, what would be the correct response to this? Studying should be fun. If you do not agree with that, let me give you an analogy. What is learning? Learning's if you heard like a student or someone who says, I love studying, I love learning, you might probably think that, okay, that guy's a nerd, probably. But what is learning? Learning is basically me telling you something in advance that will make you escape or letting you be aware of some pain or some struggle. Let's say you wanted to go for something called karting, like karting, which is like those arcade games where they have those like cars that you can drive around, and it kind of takes like some skill to be good at it. You have to like do it a few times, and most people when they're first trying it out, they have no idea what's going on. They're like a bit nervous because it's like the cart goes quite fast actually, and there's a lot of mistakes that I made. I remember I went to Malaysia, in Johor Bahru to try out karting, right? And this was the one that had no electricity. It's not like the one that's connected to the ceiling. It's the one that uses petrol to work. So it's like quite literally like a mini car. And if you bump into something or you bump into someone, the impact is quite strong. So a lot of beginners, including maybe myself, were quite nervous at first because you don't know what to expect, and this is like a novel situation. The reason why learning is fun is because if I, on my hand, like ask someone for advice, in this situation I was with my friend, so he was able to give me a lot of tips on like how to not crash and what exactly I should do at each turn, which is how like more experienced people like learn how to actually maneuver the car well. It would actually make you much better as a beginner, and it would cause you to be able to escape the beginning mistakes, possibly preventing you to like injure yourself. I feel that injury is fine. Like let's say like in the process of learning I get injured. I think that's like a good thing because it showed that I tried. But in any case, it helps you avoid injuries. It helps you avoid the pain of like struggling. This is why learning and studying should be fun. Because what you're doing is just avoiding those beginner mistakes, and not only beginner mistakes, but you're avoiding mistakes and like potholes that everyone will fall into. And if you can learn how not to do that, that should be the most fun thing ever, right? Because you're literally learning how to preserve your energy, preserve your sanity, maybe, and you just become much more effective in everything that you do. Maybe you should consider learning or start learning how to learn. And I think that would make your studying experience much better. Maybe you have tried learning on how to learn, and you watch like these YouTube videos and you've been trying things but they have not been working. If you ask me why, I think it's because you're using it in the wrong context. A lot of these YouTubers, they are like doctors, and they study a lot of chemistry, they study a lot of things where you need to memorize stuff, and that's why they prescribe things like flashcards. Not to shame any YouTuber, but most of these YouTubers are like really smart people, and the content that they have to learn, the pure difficulty of it may not match our content. Maybe if you're watching this, you're like a high school student. It's like our content is not as difficult, and that requires like a different set of skills. Because if the content is not difficult, what the examiner wants you to do is to be able to understand every detail of it, which requires a different studying strategy than the ones you may see on YouTube. Some of the strategies you see on YouTube may correlate with what you need to learn, but it's a process of huge trial and error, and it's honestly a big distraction if you don't just get the answer straight so that you can use the rest of the time to study what you need to study anyway. That's why I feel that if you learn how to learn effectively and the information you get is pure and like it just works in the sense that someone has been through what you've been through and he or she just knows what works and what doesn't. You learn that, and then you learn how to learn, and you can study much more effectively. You will find it fun, even if you don't really like school or don't really like chemistry or any of these. If you can score high without fail, it might still fail sometimes, right? But if you can score high like most of the time, you would find this fun. Like you would just find it fun because everything you do just it has a place and it just works. That's the real struggle that people have. And that's why I feel that it's very important to make studying effectively and efficiently. You should make that like one of the biggest goals you have if you're still in school, because that's how you get the highest grades, and that's how you save your time, man. Maybe during the exam season you don't really wanna go out because you're still like very scared to like going out during exam season, like to you maybe that seems like crazy, right? And you may not even want to do it. If you're more efficient and your studying methods are still effective, if you just keep doing it again and again, even during exam season, like you're just securing like what you deserve, which is like the A's and like grades that are even way higher than 70. Right? But how do you do it? How do you learn this information? Well, you have to go to sources that is more unheard of. YouTube videos are still fine. There's a lot of good YouTube videos out there. It might work. But there's this book called Deep Work by Cal Newport that I suggest you check out. Or if you just want to skip all of the pain of like trying out different tactics, spending hours and hours of time like learning all of these study methods when there's someone out there who has literally made like an exam strategy that is so unique and is so effective at exams such as the GCE A levels. I actually have an exam strategy as one of the modules in my course. So if you're curious to check it out, by all means. But things like an exam strategy, things like how to effectively dissect information from a textbook and actually memorize it. And not only that, but to be able to do this in the least effort possible so that you're not burnt out is things that you should really be things that are these are things that you should really start learning. And this will save your time, save your energy, and be able to pinpoint your effort into what matters the most. You can think of it as a funnel like sort of like a V shape that you put your effort in and it just gets funneled into the most like important things. You should work on building your funnel. That's how you're gonna find studying more fun. And it's really hard to build the funnel. But, learn it from the right people. I think there might have been a period of time in your school life that you may have felt like giving up. And the advice you hear from your friends, your teachers, or the internet maybe might be, oh, don't give up, failure is part of the journey and, it's a success. Or whatever the fuck, right? But that's true to a certain extent. But if you do not know how to dissect the failures and actually understand what it shows that you're missing out, like your weaknesses, you will just keep failing again and again. It does not. Failures and success don't matter because they just show you like your current skill level at that point in time. So it kind of doesn't matter if you fail or succeed because it's just a skill level. It's a symptom of like showing you where you are at. Of course, there are like other factors like let's say you were really stressed out and then like you were just too stressed to like even think during the exam. Then that is not a knowledge problem. That's a emotional regulation problem. You shouldn't be studying more. You should be meditating more. The exam will test you things like this, like subconsciously. It just like happens to be in like the process of exams where they actually teach you things that are very not in the syllabus, like how to be calm during stressful periods and how to be so effective even though everyone else is like clearly struggling with like this novel new question that the examiner put in the fucking exam paper. They test you things like this. And if you do not know how to overcome that, that's why a lot of people give up. That is the exact reason why a lot of people give up. Because they do not realize that they have to do things outside of studying to actually be able to be good at the exam. Like self-reflection, like self-mastery in terms of like your emotions. How the fuck do you do that though? A lot of things you can do. I think I have it as like one of the modules in my course as well, but it's a very refined process. There's a logic for everything. It's not about whether you're good or good enough or not for, this kind of thing. But it's really just about learning, man. Be open to the fact that the exam will test you much more than what you think will be tested. But don't be scared by that. Just be like aware of that. the moment you're aware of that, you're fine. Yeah. Then emotions like giving up don't really come anymore because you kind of know what to expect and you are like more prepared. Also, a lot of people do not really have accountability. A lot of people don't really have accountability in the sense that, if they say they were gonna study today or tomorrow, they don't really have anyone to like make sure that they do it. How I used to do this was I used to have it as like a checklist. Like I plan out all my tasks on like Google Calendar, right? So at the end of the week, when I have like done all my tasks, I will like show it or show this to a friend that I have to like show that, oh look, I've done my like studying for this week. Not to like flex or anything, right? But it's just to, because this is a close friend of mine, to show that I'm accountable for my study sessions and I'm not gonna miss out. And let's say on that particular week I do actually miss out like one or two things, I will be able to face it like square in the face without any sort of like coping mechanism, like, oh, but I didn't want to study. Like, no, I would, in that moment I'll have to be honest with myself, like, why did you miss that session? And this will allow me to be way more accountable for my study sessions. Usually I wouldn't really miss it because I have a way to make sure I do my study sessions every single day. And that's by doing it first thing in the morning where like your brain is your freshest. And there's like a routine of like I have like a routine so that I always hit the study session. So usually I only miss like one study session in a week. Like once or twice in like my 2 years of studying for the GCE A-levels. Which sounds crazy, sounds like I'm flexing, but I genuinely don't mean to. Okay, maybe I'm flexing, right? Fuck you. But I say this to tell you that it's possible. Because even through this period, I was completely like going out with friends and I was still doing things that were fun for me. And I want that for you. It's time for you to get it. Let's get those grades together. One way you can do that is to find a friend. It doesn't need to be that close because this is not really something as personal. It's just like your whether or not you have done your study sessions for the week. And you just do this, show it to any friend who's like willing to do it. Maybe you have a friend that you want to get better grades with. Do this to each other. I think it would help a lot. And lastly, if I had a last point to tell you, it would be to get feedback. Not only from like, in the sense like you get feedback from like your peers, maybe if like they say that, oh, this like you fucked up at this part because like you missed out this information. Like getting feedback from your peers is very good. But you should also be getting feedback from your teachers. If you don't like your teachers, you can try like asking feedback from seniors who are quite smart so that they know exactly what kind of feedback to tell you. But if I were you and if I didn't really like my teacher, I would still get feedback because it's not really about whether I like the teacher or not. It's about me saving my own time and energy. And most students don't really see that until they like waste all their time. Like just like not care. And it's about you saving your time. It's not really whether you like anyone or not. And that's also a bit like a bit sad, if you don't really like your teacher. I mean, it's not your fault, right? I mean, maybe their teaching style is shit or whatever, but in the very least, you should get feedback from them because that's just gonna save your time. The reason why you should get feedback is because there are things that other people can see about you which you don't see. And I don't really just mean this in like a very philosophical way. I genuinely mean this in like the information that you write in your exams, like your answers. Like you don't see why it's wrong, but other people can because they're not like influenced by your own like micro biases. And that's a good thing. This is why you should get feedback. This is why the smarter students in your school or in your class get feedback on a daily basis because they want to make sure what they're doing is correct. And that's not that hard to do. Just arrange like a session. Maybe it takes like 10-15 minutes with your teacher. Or, if you want to ask your classmates, you can do that anytime, right? Because you're with them for like the whole school day. So that's a very good thing to do. And it will make sure that you're on the right path. And basically every single tactic that I've been saying in this video, it's not about being a nerd or not. It's not about that. If you don't really care about school or your grades, like that's fine. Like sure. Like that's that's up to you, man. But you should at least be good at the skill of exams when you need to be. Because that would it's about saving your time and your effort and your energy. And if you're someone who likes studying, who likes to put in effort, but you don't see the grades that you want, you have to do the same thing. You have to learn what makes like effort more effective, and you should learn like the correct study methods, the ones that are effective and have been proven time and time again by research throughout the decades. Like what is good, like what is the best ways to learn, instead of just looking at textbook, highlighting it, rereading your notes, even though you think the only way you can learn is by looking at your notes because there's like nothing else you can look at, which is not true. There's like a way you look at your notes that is like very active, that causes you to like write things on your notes. But I think there's another module in my course, but you need to learn the correct study methods. That will really save your time. Studying should be fun at the end of the day. Because the reason why it will be fun is, let's say you're someone who likes studying. You do it well, you do it effectively, you save your time. Why wouldn't you find it fun, right? And even if you're someone who doesn't really like school, you use these methods that you learn in your school. You get the grades that you want. You save your time. And with that time that you have, you can use it to spend learning things outside of school with the same study methods that you learn. And you just learn like both areas of life more effectively. So it should be fun. I know this might sound at first, like this might sound like too good to be true or like wishy-washy at first. But genuinely, there are students in your school that think this way, and that's the reason why their grades are fucking high. Learn to be more effective and more efficient in your study methods. That will make this whole process much, much more manageable, meaningful, and fun. Genuinely fun. You will find fun in something that people will call hell, like chemistry or math or physics. And you will find that fun. But you need to learn the correct methods. Cheers.